So, you are asked to give a presentation before a huge audience. In your mind, you know the information you want to share, but you have no idea as to how to present it in an engaging way. What do? Well, I'm going to introduce to you 10 simple guidelines about how to give a great PowerPoint presentation. First of all, if you want a great presentation, you must make great slides. And here's how. This may sound ironic, but a well-designed slide has dark backgrounds. It may be tempting to use a white background instead because it is vivid, but brighter isn't necessarily better. With a light or white background, your audience will have a difficult time focusing on the information on the screen because these bright colors are hard on the eyes. Plus, the shadow cast from the slide on you as the presenter will give your audience a hard time seeing you. And without that connection between audience and the presenter, you know what will result? An unsuccessful presentation. So, to avoid calamity, use a dark or even black background for your slides. It's just calmer on the eyes and allows the audience to see both what's on the slide and you. Now that your audience can see your slide well because you used the darker slide background, you also want to make sure that they can see the information on the slide. This brings us to guideline number 2, using contrasting font colors and sizes. Take a look at this. I'm sure that it is very hard for you to read the words at the top of this slide. Now imagine that you were watching a presentation and sitting in the back row. Wouldn't it be nearly impossible to see this? When creating slides for a presentation, you need to ensure that all members of the audience can benefit from your slides. Now, take this slide for example. It is very easy to read. You know why? Because 1, the words are big, and 2, the font color makes the words visible on the dark background. And if this slide was used in a presentation, I'm sure that people from a mile away could read it. Let's talk a bit more about slide content. When making slides for a PowerPoint presentation, remember this simple equation. 1 slide equals 1 idea. Okay, so say you were given a presentation on how to make others happy. That's a good topic, right? But does this slide equal 1 idea? No, it equals 4. Wrong. Usually, people could process 1 bit of information at a time. That's just how our brains operate. But if this slide was shown in your How to Make Others Happy presentation, your audience might easily forget the important information you just spoke about. And nobody wants that to happen, right? Now take a look at this slide. So unlike the previous slide, this one fits right into our 1 slide equals 1 idea equation. If you use this method, instead of listing all your ideas on 1 slide, your audience would retain all the details you as the presenter just spoke about. And by the way, it does not matter how many different slides you have. So remember, 1 slide equals 1 idea. Here's another important guideline to commit to memory. Pictures speak louder than words do. Don't believe me? Well, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 slides that convey the very same information, just in different ways. Here we have slide A. It says, when given PowerPoint presentations, It is best if you use a lot of pictures instead of many words to carry your point across. Boy, that was a mouthful. Okay, now let's take a look at slide B. Bam! More pictures, less words. Though both slides give one idea, which one conveys it more effectively? Be honest. Of course slide B does. Slides with short, punchy phrases with a picture or two are more effective to an audience than just a slide filled with words. So you followed all my guidelines and made all the slides necessary for your presentation. That's great! But do you know that you need to arrange your slides in such a way that makes sense to your audience? Yes, slide order does matter. So hear this. The process of planning a presentation is very similar to writing a story. Yes, a story. You need to plan how your presentation will begin, the order in which you will present the details, and how you will strongly wrap things up in the end. All this planning can be done by creating an outline. Just as how outlines organize events and show changes needed in stories, outlines will help you arrange your slides and organize in your mind what you will say in your presentation. Outlines are the key to giving great PowerPoint presentations. And that's it. That's all I have for you. Now you know how to create engaging PowerPoint slides for your presentation. But wait, your work isn't over yet. You still have to learn how to actually present your slides to an audience. One of the best things you can do as the presenter to engage the audience is to be pleasant and natural. Catch this. You want to have a friendly approach. Simply smiling is a great way to reach your audience. Being yourself in a pleasant way makes your audience feel welcomed and willing to find out more about what you have to say. Actually, your pleasant personality makes it easier for you to talk to the audience and eliminate some stage fright, something nobody wants to experience. And do you know what else engages audiences? Eye contact does. Just looking into the eyes of your audience is very effective in making a presentation a personal one. People like it when others look at them while talking. Who doesn't? Eye contact shows confidence too. Your audience will listen to you more keenly if you look like you know what you're talking about. To master the skill of making eye contact, I've heard that you should pick one person to look at and just keep looking in that direction. But I care to differ slightly. Since you're talking to everyone in the audience, I suggest that you glance at one person for a few seconds and then shift your gaze at another audience member in a different part of the room. This method will make your audience members feel less uncomfortable. Also, be sure to make your eye contact feel natural and please don't stare. I know that the pressure is on to engage the audience as much as possible, but sometimes presenters take this a notch too high by making way too many body movements. Large hand motions and walking back and forth across the stage can distract your audience from listening and make them think that you're trying way too hard to engage them. Sometimes presenters move around uncontrollably because of nerves. This is completely understandable, but you should really try your best to avoid this. Simply making small gestures are enough to gain the interest of your audience. Another very important skill to have as a presenter is to observe your audience while you're talking. Getting into your audience's feelings lets you know exactly how to make quick changes in the middle of your presentation. Imagine that your presentation is going on and running smoothly and everything is happening as planned. Then all of a sudden, you begin to see audience members becoming restless. So you just move on, you ignore these signs, and then a few minutes later, people start looking at the time. Then you start hearing people snoring in the audience. You have just lost your audience's undivided attention. Since the time you saw people beginning to get restless, you should have begun wrapping up your presentation already. When you observe people's reactions to your presentation, you get insight as to how to carry on, or if to carry on at all. Now, before I start to lose your attention, I have one last guideline about how to give great PowerPoint presentations, and it is to keep on practicing the other guidelines. Your first time giving a PowerPoint presentation may be rocky, but you can learn from your mistakes. Before each presentation, I suggest that you practice exactly what you're going to say and do it in front of a mirror or in front of people you know. Here's a good way to evaluate your presentation. If you are bored, your audience will be too. It really does take a lot of time and effort to create and give engaging PowerPoint presentations. But by following these 10 guidelines, you will become an expert presenter in no time.